Merry Christmas, everybody, and Tony here with a review of yet another Rankin Bass Christmas special, which needs no introduction, and that is Frosty the Snowman, which had its premiere on CBS on December 9th, 1969. It was directed, of course, by Jules Bass and Arthur Rankin Jr., with music by Maury Laws, and it stars the voices of Jimmy Durante, Jackie Vernon, Billy DeWolf, June Foray, and Paul Frees, and it was also based on the classic song Frosty the Snowman. Now, I first caught this Christmas special about 1 year ago when I was in Toronto, and it was airing on Teletoon. I desperately wanted to make a review of this, but let's just say that scheduling happened as I also had to visit a family friend, or some family friends, and let's just say that I didn't really have time to really make the review, as there were other Christmas specials I really wanted to review at the time. But nowadays, it's really the best season to really make this film, and even after watching it again before making this review, I really have to say that if I would have caught this when I was a kid, it probably would have been part of my childhood. But as it is, it's still a very great Christmas film, and one that is very memorable throughout all generations. So, let's see what made this Rankin Bass Christmas film really great as it is. Starting with the story. Now, the story is rather simple. We got kids building up a snowman, and it's already the holidays, and at the same time, a magician by the name of Professor Hinkle comes to visit. But let's just say that he's pretty much a quack magician, as a lot of his tricks went awry, and he pretty much blames it on his hat. But one fateful day, as the children were almost about to finish their snowman, they decide that they want him to talk so that they could truly be their friend. So Karen, who is also one of the main heroines of the show, decides to give the old hat of Professor Hinkle, thus coming to life Frosty the Snowman. So basically, the story is rather simple in its execution, but it's one that has a lot of heart, a lot of humor, and just a lot of warm, fuzzy moments to really make it one of the great Christmas specials that Rankin Bass has ever produced. And then we get to the animation. Now, unlike a lot of the Rankin Bass Christmas specials, which are usually done via stop motion, this one is done with 2D animation. Now, since this is television animation, you won't really expect Disney quality or like high quality 2D animation. But what you'll get is a lot of simple details and just a lot of nice color palettes and just a lot of color all around. So the animation is still very good by television standards, and one that is actually quite pleasing to the eye. And then we get to the music. Now, I definitely enjoyed the music of this Christmas special. Aside from the titular Frosty the Snowman song sung by Jimmy Durante, there was also like this parade song with the kids, also with the tune of Frosty the Snowman. So it's safe to say that the music is definitely very enjoyable, and especially helped with the narrator of the show, Jimmy Durante, giving such a very fine vocal performance of the titular song with such a lot of character. And speaking of characters, the characters are very much memorable and lovable, starting with our titular hero, Frosty the Snowman. Now, one running gag, or one noticeable trait that is very noticeable about Frosty is that when he comes to life after placing that hat, he starts to say, "Happy birthday." And I really have to say, Frosty is very much a lovable, fun, and just a very wonderful character who manages to make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. He's definitely a very fun character, and he has his own set of charm. And then we get the main human character, Karen. Now, while the other kids manage to bring something very great and special to the table, Karen pretty much carries the weight of the show as well. She's someone who's very sweet, well-meaning, kind, and just a darling to watch on screen. She's someone who is very loyal, and someone who is definitely a true friend to the likes of Frosty and all her other friends. She's definitely a very great kid character. And then we get the main villain of the Christmas special, Professor Hinkle. Now, he's just a lot of fun to watch. He's someone who may not be dark and brooding, but he's someone who's just totally hilarious to watch every time on screen. Every piece of dialogue and just his mannerisms just make him all the more worthwhile watching. He's just that hilarious. And then we get Santa, who's his usual fatherly self, who manages to really solve certain problems. He's definitely great. The characters may have simple characteristics, but they're all lovable and charming in their own special way. And then we get to the voice acting, starting with Jimmy Durant as the narrator/singer. Jimmy Durant has a special charm and likability that he manages to bring out through the narrator, and even as the title singer. Not to mention, this is also one of his final roles, and I have to say, this is one brilliant send-off. And then we get the likes of Jackie Vernon as Frosty, who gives a very warm-hearted and very lovable portrayal of this title hero. And then we get June Foray as Karen and the school teacher, who give really great portrayals. But in the case of Karen, there's also an unknown voice actress, who was also a kid voice actress, who voiced her in some broadcasts. I have to say that the unknown voice actress does a very great job in really making Karen a very likable and very, very wonderful character. And then we get Billy DeWolf as Professor Hinkle. He's definitely enjoyable in his role and just a lot of fun. Paul Frees, who is also in a lot of Rankin Bass Christmas specials, and not to mention a lot of Hanna-Barbera shows, manages to really nail it as the policeman and many other of the male characters. So, what more can I say about Frosty the Snowman? It has a very simple, very light-hearted premise, and one that manages to really be a very good Christmas special. With that said, I give Frosty the Snowman a well-deserved 4.5 out of 5 stars. Yes, it's simple, but you'll always get something that's enjoyable and just a lot of fun. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in later where I review the sequel to Frosty the Snowman, and that is Frosty's Winter Wonderland. So until then, see you later, everybody, and stay tuned for that.